Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as you can hear in my voice, I'm excited AF, because I don't like to curse, because my God, folks, it's Forza Day. Forza Horizon 5 by Playground Games has officially released. If, of course, you bought the upgraded version for early access. Otherwise, if you bought the regular version or you are waiting to play it in Game Pass, and a lot of people are, you will be able to play that on Tuesday morning. I believe it is going to be 3:01 a.m. here in the East Coast, 12:01 a.m. On the West Coast, and I believe that they have a list of what you can do where you can go and find what time zone and what exact time the game is going to drop at the Game Pass. But wow, talk about reviews. Folks, this is a game that is currently sitting at a 92 plus meta. It is being revered as the best racing game ever released. There are some people, including myself, will agree with this statement that it is the best looking game currently on any console. I would say that it pushes the Series X to its limit and is, in fact, like I said in my review, a showpiece for the console and a great reason for A to invest in Xbox and B to be an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. You're going to get 2.5 hours or at least 2 hours worth of footage today. This is early on in the game. I am currently 40 hours into it. I just hit level 48 before we went live. I have driven over 400 of the 578 roads. I have unlocked 63 cars so far. We're going to get into our thoughts about what people are saying, about anyone that's played it and their experience, of course. But let's get into the introductions and we can break this topic down. We're going to start first with our guest, Fuzzy Belvedere, making his return and in fine fashion. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for the invite. Man, so excited. Forza's my go-to game. So this is pretty exciting times. I'm pumped and glad to be here with you guys.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad that you had a chance to experience it. Like like many, didn't want to wait till Tuesday. Got yourselves the Ultimate Edition, and we're going to be talking about that. Next up, the guy with the best voice in the busy. It's extra raspy today, maybe because he didn't have his coffee yet. But hey, Crispy Bomb, welcome back there, brother.
Good morning. What's up, chat? And yeah, I'm gonna be one of those people waiting till Tuesday. So I don't know if it's
Not
shame on
dude.
me or
No. I mean, listen, dude. First of all, what I love, and if you look at the chat already, I mean, we have almost 100 people here. I've been chatting back and forth this morning with a lot of people. Real quick, shout out to Aaron JF94. Was going for a procedure. Of course, we all wished him the best prayers and wishes we could. And folks, after dropping a $5 super chat, which of course his generosity is always apparent, got some great news. The scope went well, no cancer or anything, but also no answer as to what's wrong with my stomach. Thank you, Boom, for the prayers and well wishes. Yeah, dude, you know what? You just keep looking into it. But I think the big thing here, and it almost should be a shitload bricks off of your shoulders, is that there's no cancer. It could be ulcers. It could be the way you're eating, the way you're not eating. But a diet, a specific diet may be necessary. But dude, it's great to hear that, and thank you for the generosity. But of course, thanks for being here, brother. But yeah, Crispy, I don't think that waiting for this game is a problem. I think it is one of the major advantages, I should say, of having Xbox Game Pass. This is, again, some people didn't wait. I was very, very lucky, and got to shout out publicly Jeff Rubenstein of Xbox. I mean, again, we've been working behind the scenes on many things for many years. Obviously, he was integral in getting Larry Herb on in 2019. I constantly reach out to Jeff to see how he's doing, and obviously, thanks to his generosity and again, a small channel, not even 10,000 subs. He was able to get me a copy a review copy. Of course, I agreed to the embargo like everyone else and couldn't talk about it. I had the game since last Friday, so he was able to get it to me with enough time. So I put 25 plus hours into the review, and I felt really solid about the review that I did because I played so much of it. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I think that's fantastic that you're waiting. And again, if there are a lot of people in the chat, like I was saying, which is great, is that there are people that were saying it and probably going to continue to say this on the socials, on today's chat, that they've never been Forza gamers. But after hearing the high praise, after seeing the video, after seeing the dealer reviews, the Rand reviews, it was Ains from Season Gaming did an incredible write up, and that dude is the leader of us all. He I think he's over 100, level 100. Like, it's a big gold plate when he blows by you. And every time I got smoked, it was by Ains. That's how good he is. So Ains, if you're listening, don't worry, brother. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna take a picture of it, and I'm gonna bring the documentation. Or as the kids say, bring those receipts. But listen, let's get into VJ. VJ, thank you so much for being here, brother. Super excited to have you back. Playground Games has done it again. They continue to just dominate in this field. And man, we're going to be talking on the back end of the Forza. This is the same team. Now, when I say team, folks, I don't want to be corrected because I'm tired of it. Playground Games as a whole, a Playground Games team. I understand that a separate group of people are working on Fable, but at the same time, they're still part of Playground Games. So, no, please don't correct me on that. All I can say is that my excitement for Fable the dial's been turned up to 1,000. Because if you look at what they did with this game, and you only imagine the tech they're going to use and the techniques they're going to use for Fable, my God, they may become the Naughty Dog level team that I believe that they already are. But I think that of them that way. A lot of people in the industry may or may not. We shall see. But VJ, welcome back, brother.
Yep. Thanks, Boom, for having me back on. Morning, Fuzzy, Crispy Bomb, and yourself, Boom. And the pleasure's all mine, Boom. So I'm really looking forward to getting into your topics.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that. Real quick, 2 more super chats come in. Lucius Augustus. Hey, brother, thank you so much for Lucius. I'm going to say correctly. Augustus drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, salute to the entire panel. Can't wait for the discussion. Take care of yourself this holiday. Well, thank you, brother, and appreciate you being here. Aaron JF94 drops an additional super chat, and he says, missed my trip to New Zealand. Was amazing yesterday. Yeah, that's funny. I'm not sure if you saw that tweet from Aaron Greenberg, but yeah, Greeny, man, you gotta love him. You gotta love Aaron Greenberg for the way that he goes out there and he just interacts with the community. But let's get into it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid and get right into why we're all here. The excitement, folks, is at a fever's pitch of the industry. And when I say the industry, I'm talking the gamers. I'm talking Xbox. And of course, I'm talking about, guess what? The gaming media. Holy shit, folks. They actually like an Xbox game. As a matter of fact, I've been very hard on IGN, and for good reason, because it just sometimes piss me off. But they gave Forza a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Means nothing to me because I don't watch their stuff. And it's not because I'm throwing a dig at them. I'm small. I'm shit. They're a big conglomerate. I get it. I don't like the way they do their things, but even they gave this game a 10. Now, what does that mean for me? Nothing. I'm playing the game. I got a chance to review the game, and I gave it what I gave it, right? But it is refreshing. I will say that it's refreshing to finally see the Xbox platform getting its just and well-deserved due. And if you could not do it with this game, when were they going to do it? And, it's funny because Primetime Gaming this Monday is going to be a massive show. One of the topics is originally written, and it's going to be talking about specifically 2021 for Xbox. That show goes live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be a monster show. I can't wait to get into it. But let's start with Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, you've had a chance to play it, and we had a great conversation. But let's get your impressions of the game. Impressed, not impressed, what you love, what you like, what you want to see happen. And are you surprised that everyone seems to be coming on board with Xbox?
I'm rather impressed with the visuals and the overall gameplay and some of the quality of life improvements they've made, both in the menu, controls, accessibility, even the character creator. Although there's some well-deserved critiques on that,
Yeah.
but overall, I can totally see why a lot of people are more on board with a racing game when they may not even be a car enthusiast or into racing games in general. Um, it's a lot of fun whether you're just driving around yourself, looking at the vistas, or jumping off the side of the volcano or something like that, or you're just drifting around like a nice switchback road and things along those lines. So there's plenty of fun to be had whether you're in a race or just driving around taking pictures. Um, but I think just the visuals themselves captivate the audience. I don't think a lot of people have seen something on this scale as far as open world when it comes to this particular racing game. It's almost like if you took the crime out of GTA but turned the graphics way up like PC level with
Yeah.
some of the mods. That's kind of where we're at in the scenery of Mexico, and it's a wide varying different biomes that you're going to be barreling through depending on your choice in vehicle. But I think the big thing for me, being a fan of racing games, and particularly Forza, more so motorsports, but Horizon's always got a special place in my heart as far as just crazy fun, or just you know trying my best to reimagine the car enthusiast in me, but in digital form. But I think for me, the only critiques I have right at the moment would be the pricing on the in-game pricing on the clothing. I mean, some shirts are $60 or whatever, and then there's some sunglasses that are like $10,000. But it's I think as someone that has like over $400 billion in Forza Horizon 4, I can see the inflation in pricing being warranted, because with 400,000 or 400 billion that I have in Horizon 4, I'm only missing two cars and I have everything else unlocked. So it's like I don't have anything to spend the money on. So now I'll have plenty of stuff to spend money on, and I won't probably have that wad of cash in this one. But I'm definitely going to enjoy trying to collect all 500 plus cars, get all the houses, and unlock all the events and things like that. But it's I'm only probably 2 or 3 hours in, a little over 30 cars. I'm only like a level 13 because I, instead of doing the racing, I just been driving around the map, just kind of looking for the billboards to break and doing my usual, trying to discover as many roads. I'm only halfway to where you're at, Boom, with because I think I'm at like 240 or so. But yeah, it's so much fun. Definite improvement over the previous one, which they've done with each iteration. And yeah, this is like a perfect Christmas gift, you could say, as far as for the car enthusiast in me. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, you know what? What I want to do, just before I bring Crispy into the conversation, I want to read because Xbox era, obviously we've become very good friends. John, Nick, OBM, they're just, they're a bunch of incredible guys. Jordy, obviously, is someone that I've been talking with in the background. He's going to be coming on one of the primetime gaming podcasts soon. So big shout out to Jordy over there, their team, and what I don't know how big their team is, but they're pretty amazing. Obviously they crossed 10,000 subscribers, which is just wow. Big shout out to them, the Iron Lords as well. Again, folks, I'm gonna get there with your help. If you continue to help push the channel, I got picked up another dozen new subscribers yesterday. Maybe that's because of the review. And you know what? I'll get there. I think by just pure determination and mathematics, I should hit that hopefully by the first quarter of next year. But I do want to real quick before I bring Crispy into the conversation. I do want to shout out Xbox Era again because they dropped a list of all of the big reviews. And I want to just read them off so we have a better pictured idea of what the gaming media that includes, of course, content creators are saying about this. IGN obviously gave it a 10, VGC 5 out of 5, Windows Central 5 out of 5, Stevia 10, Gaming Bolt a 10, The Gamer 5 out of 5, Game Informer 9.5, Xbox Era 9.6, Press Start 9.5, Double Barrel Gaming, obviously that is me, 9.5. Shack News gave it a 9, GameSpot gave it a 9, and PC Gamer gave it a 9 out of 10. That is pretty epic. That's a pretty, I guess, good and precise way to get, and again, I'm sure there's going to be someone's going to give it a 6. Someone's going to give it a 7. Someone's going to give it an 8 and say, yeah, it's just Forza. Listen, here's the thing. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. That is true. I will never challenge that. If we think differently, we can handshake and be friends. It's not a problem. The problem, folks, is if you are going out of your way to be an asshole, to kind of, take away the fun that the Xbox community is continuing to have, then you're just being a D, right? And you know what? Don't be that D. Don't be that guy or gal on social media to go out and throw out something that you're just going to embarrass yourself. You don't have to like it. If you have another platform you should dig, I hear you. But just keep, you know what my mom used to say when we were kids? Craig, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say it. And if I did say it, well, she was a Hispanic woman. You can understand that chancla got either thrown or I got beat. That's just the way it was. And it's probably made me the man that I am today. But enough of my beatings as a kid. Let's talk Crispy Bomb. Listen, you're waiting to play it, which is great. So on Tuesday, you're going to get right into it. Didn't cost you any extra money. What are your thoughts on the gaming media just lifting Playground Games' latest masterpiece the way they have? Are you surprised?
After Psychonauts, not really.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's always going to be those losers, okay? The losers out there that, got to go and review bomb stuff, all right? Like, don't be a loser, people, all right? So, you got those that just get angry because it's an Xbox game, and then you have these, real review sites that actually look at the game and they actually play the game and they actually enjoy the game. And, that's why I always say meta who, but at the same time, the hype around this game, like you're getting people to purchase the content early. Like that's how good this game is. So, I see people that were like, I'll just wait, or I don't even know if I'm going to play it. Now they're showing that they just bought the ultimate or whatever to get to play it today. Like that's how much hype this game has. And I mean, even looking on my screen right now, I mean, this game looks way better than anything I've seen. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And this is not even on my 4K TV.
Well, I got one better for you. Crispy, this is being played in the background at 1080p because that's what the software does. Now, on my video review, and this is again, I'm still learning, right? Like, I used to chase bad guys, and I have no problem with it, right? Never was worried. This is the job, right? I swore in to protect the people, so sometimes, bad things are going to happen to you. That's life, right? But I could not be more nervous when putting this goddamn video up. It took me 9 hours to produce from start to finish. And I had to call in some help. Kay Asante, I had to call his technical. So I was like, listen, Kay, it's saying SD, it's saying HD. Where's the 4K? And I learned how to, so all of my videos that I'm going to do that are like that, not podcasts, are going to be done in 4K. I learned how to do it. And if you missed out on the video, it was on YouTube at 4K. This game looks ridiculous on our screen right now. And you're right, it's only 1080p. Wait till you see this on your 4K TV. Your jaw is gonna drop.
I'm saving that for myself, like on Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like this setting, like I've never been this excited for a Forza Horizon. Okay, like Mexico is like one of those areas that, and they're so like accurate with it as well. But it's one of those places that nobody really wants to go, but everybody's really interested in what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like there's areas, there's all, you know, you've always heard about the drug wars and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But it's like Mexico is so beautiful. It really is. It has so much diversity and in the way the landscape is. It's like it's one of those places that, like, you know, because of all the bad things you hear, you don't want to go there, kind of, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you really want to see it. And this kind of gives you that little escape there, like, and you get to just go drive everywhere there.
Dude,
and that's just crazy.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Like, what this game does for the country of Mexico, right? Again, it's a game, right? We understand that. We know there's a lot of questionable stuff that goes on in that country, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on questionable in this country as well, in every country, right? What I find to be amazing is how diverse. See, when you know, when someone thinks of Mexico, they think of the hot desert, right? That's what they think. They don't see the very intricate details. Like I said in my review, the color palette, especially when you get into the urban areas, is magnificent. It is magnificent. It's just you cannot believe all of the colors. And what I can't wait for personally is obviously when they start doing important culture holidays to them. Like Day of the Dead is big, obviously, in the Mexican culture, right? It's beautiful. It is a day of remembrance, of course, to remember past loved ones. But the way that they celebrate it, and the colors and that's going to be, I can't wait to see that. But please continue.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much they can do. I mean, I haven't even really seen anybody talk about the arena or whatever it's called.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be crazy. I mean, people are going to be doing like all kinds of wild games together. Like, it's going to be different. I did want to ask you, like, does it feel any different with like the linking with people and stuff? Because I felt like that was an issue at times, like because of the open world.
I didn't have any, but see, I did this review solely in the single player mindset. Like anyone that I felt like, you see, I'm racing Colt right now, right?
Yeah.
My friends list is quite packed. So I had a significant amount of people to race against. Like I said in my review, I raced against Colt, Dealer, Randall Thor 19. I even raced Phil Spencer, which was awesome. And of course, I beat him and I took a picture and I posted it. Now, granted, it is his avatar. It wasn't actually Phil Spencer. But the fact that was there. See, I just lost. Like I just lost the head-to-head to Colt.
That seemed pretty seamless, though. I was like,
yeah.
You kind of the game kind of just answered my question. Like it just, it's
because what happens is when you roll next to somebody that's on your friends list that isn't just an NPC car driving around, the ability to hit the X button pops up that if you want to challenge them, and I gotta tell you, it immediately, like a snap, goes.
That's I mean, and that's what Forza Horizon is when it comes down to it. And I believe there was a slight complaints in 4 about that. And they really, like, they showed a lot about how they're connecting, how you can play different mini games and stuff like that. Like, so I'm looking forward to that player PvP aspect of it, because that's always fun when you got a little bragging rights at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will tell you what they do. See, this really I didn't even touch on it on my review because obviously, you write these scripts and half of it was written and the other half is obviously shot from the hip because you remember things and you're trying to put it in an order where it makes sense, right? One of the things that this game does that for some reason I don't recall the other games doing, and maybe because I didn't put as much time in it, I don't know. But the carrot at the end of the stick that they do for you is constantly show you what your friends list is doing, constantly going up against Ains. Ains has 200 and 200 boards to your when you get close to somebody, or like I've surpassed a few of the friends list, where whether it's roads driven. Like I have like I'm 436 of the 578 roads explored or driven over, right? And the only one in front of me right now is Colt. I think Colt has like 501, right? I surpassed Dealer, I surpassed Rand, I surpassed a few of the Gaz from Game On Daily. I raced him this morning. It's this, them constantly showing you the stats will keep you wanting to play more, because you want to beat your friends. You want to be on that leaderboard at the top. And I think that's a fantastic addition, because it's seamless and it's really in your face, but not in your face in a way where it's distracting, because it just falls right on a little part of the screen, and you'll see it as I'm driving. Because I hit the level 48 literally right before we came on. But like I said, like I think Rand is higher level than me. Dealer is a slightly higher than me. Colt is, and so like I said, Ains from Season Game, and he's got like the gold bar. He's 101, I think I saw this morning. But by all means, continue.
Well, it's just my excitement level's there for Tuesday, and I can't wait, to be honest.
I actually can't wait to see what what your experience is once you get it on your 4K TV, because it's look, there's been a lot of people, a lot of reviews, and I probably watched about a dozen of them. Mostly circles that we all write on, most of our podcasting friends that that we all work with at one aspect or another. So you want to support them and watch their stuff. And one of the points that continues to come up, which is a point that I want to reiterate live on the air here, is these are by far the best next gen graphics to date on any console. I don't care if it's you love PlayStation, you love Nintendo. I am telling you right now, when this game is running, and again, me personally, I'm usually a graphics guy. I did not take the 30 frames per FPS. I'm playing in 60. And I then try both, folks. And I like the speed. I like the 60 FPS. But yeah, it is the best looking game, and it just proves that the purchase of Playground Games, when that was announced, I would say that it's on the same level as like a Naughty Dog, or you can even say Insomniac. Insomniac's been putting out incredible games. To get this developer in under the Xbox Game Studios banner, and to see them, and mind you, they Turn 10 hasn't even shown their cards to what Forza Motorsport is going to look like, which is just incredible. But VJ, let's get you in on the conversation. VJ, you've heard what we've said so far.
Sure.
I mean, the accolades that continue to come out for this game are on another level. It's a big win for Xbox. It's a big win for Microsoft, but it's an even bigger win for the incredible and very talented team at Playground. Where do you fall? Are you waiting to Tuesday, or did you play the game already?
I was just going to say, I've been watching the footage while everyone's been giving their views, and in my mind's eye, I've been replacing the vehicle with a character on horseback, so in order to sort of pseudo simulate Fable. So, sorry about that. Look, before I answer your question, Refable and stuff like that, I spoke to Mr. Tucci, someone who's very popular in the community, listens to all your shows, Boom.
Yes.
And for me, he's ever since I got the Xbox Series X, and as I said to you, the first game I downloaded was Forza 4. I mean, who wouldn't, right? He's been my sort of carte blanche sort of authority, when it comes to Forza. And by the time I'd caught up with him, he'd like spent a couple of hours with Forza 5, and we came to an initial conclusion that Forza 5 is pretty much a far more sophisticated, upgraded, and enhanced entry compared to sort of Forza 4 for the Series X.
Yes.
So straight off the bat, it seems that the game has a far more sort of fluid menu system that's less cluttered and easier to navigate than its predecessor, something I think Fuzzy alluded to as well. Customization seems to be like sort of more in depth with a lot more options to sort of personalize your vehicle. I think I'm not really sure how this works, but Mr. Sushi was sort of just discovered a feature where it's just sort of like you can sort of gift and donate vehicles as well. And I'm not sure how that works in practice, or if that's actually correct. It was a really quick, well, it wasn't a quick conversation. We just touched on it briefly, but it's something that you can sense and feel that as the game releases, and over the next sort of 12 to 15 or 18 months, that it's going to be a feature that I would suggest that the community at large will make use of, perhaps generously. And donations, please send them all to Boom. Anyway, in terms of the game itself, and you don't even have to play it. You can just see it and observe it. If you're not biased, if you can take away your emotion, and you can look at it, logically. I mean, just even if you just look at the footage, right? And obviously I discussed this with Mr. Touche. The environment seemed like far more denser, highly populated. With very detailed assets, I would say, especially the junglier environments. I don't know if junglier is a word, but that's the only way I can think about how to say it. And within those junglier environments, you've got rugged and rough terrain, right? And sort of talking of terrain, the physics seem improved as well. So if you hit a puddle or a pothole, we have a lot of those in England, and they're normally sort of filled with 8 inches of water because the sun never shines there. Obviously, you guys all know that. You sort of seem to lose, or it simulates sort of momentary loss of vehicle control, as you would in real life. And car damage, as in sort of dented panels, cracked windows, and lights and other areas seem to be really, really improved to the point where it's far more noticeable, I would say. And look, anyway, we talked about Forza 5 for over an hour, right, on the phone, and we were sort of discussed everything from visuals to sound design, engine samples and ambient wildlife. I don't know, maybe you guys know if the sound in the game is actually ray traced this time around. I think it is, but it might be worth checking. So and some of the discussions we were having were technically over my head, because I'm not a very, very technical person, and I can't obviously cover everything that we discovered or discussed in the scope of a podcast, because obviously I don't want people falling asleep. But it's safe to say that the overall sort of feeling is that Forza 5, whilst not groundbreaking, feels a lot more immersive, whereas Forza 4, going back to that, may now seem a little flat and dry and full of facades. I mean, it's a 3 or 4 year old game now. It's expected, right? So you can see the jump, and especially in comparison to Forza 5's huge jump in terms of sort of. I'd like to say, you talked about the setting in Mexico, Boom, and that just leads to such a huge jump in terms of, and I think this is what you were alluding to, in terms of personality and a step forward towards sort of reality and realism. So do correct me if I'm wrong. It's just my opinion, and it's not absolutely 100% correct, but it's just from what I've seen. And look, there's a reason, Boom, why I'm talking about Forza 5 in some sort of detail, right? What you come to realize is that in some aspects of the game that I've covered, it should make you realize that playground games have pretty much sharpened their intellect and tools or tool sets, or as PGG have said, and I think in previous interviews, and I'm paraphrasing it, we're further enhanced, refined, optimized, and built out our tools, and several scalable technologies are in play this time around, right? And optimizing tools and technologies can take time. Even you do it across maybe several years, right? And maybe there's a few iterations of games that come out, right, using that tech, and it does take time. And of course, it's incredibly beneficial, right, especially serving this particular studio in the long term. And all this sort of knowledge, tech, and know-how will be introduced into the Fable project to varying degrees. And what's pivotal to observe, for me at least, right, is how exactly, cleverly and astutely all this is implemented into Fable, since it will go towards defining the game itself and how it longer term potentially inevitably sits apart from everything else that's going to be released in the future. And we can see that, you know, with all the sort of impressive visuals, and you have to say, sorry, I just want to point out that obviously all this tech is still in progress, right? And but it allows for something, and the proof in the pudding is that if you look at Forza and you see it for what it is, right, you can see that as a racing title, right, Forza 5 stands out from the rest of its competitors or challengers to the crown. And when it comes to Fable specifically, so far we've witnessed the concept CG trailer, and people might be saying, oh, well, it's only a trailer, and so on and so forth. But by all accounts, it's received unanimous praise, right? The visual side of it, right?
Yep.
And but from a technical perspective, now that you've got Forza in, well, you've got it in your hands, you would say the studio is pretty much primed to deliver something spectacular. And look, no doubt, additional tools, systems, technologies, human skill set, hiring of specific skill set and talent, you know, especially for a third person, you know, sort of narrative-driven open world game, is a task in itself, and I don't want to belittle that task, right? Because it is important, right, to get it right, and it all comes into play, right, when you want to start to conceive and build a brand new sort of title, right, within a studio that's predominantly done car games, and sort of the procurement and crafting of the studio is paramount and crucial, and we know this, and these guys know that. They've been around the block, you know, more times than probably all of us put together, and and for me, one thing that's really, really interesting, right, being a Brit, right, there is talent in the UK, but it's hard fought over. It's typically far more technical and than it is outright sort of visually creative. This is the talent pool within the UK, and Brexit hasn't made things any easier, you know, for talent in Europe to come across to England. And I say this because you have to understand that studios outside of Japan, China, and America, to name a couple, and this is specifically related to the UK, are far more multiculturally sort of diverse than you would know, right? So it'll be interesting to see how Playground Games deals, or other studios deal with this or overcome this and other hurdles, so as to set an example for the follower, you know, those that are following in their footsteps. And I'm referring to Ninja Theory and Rare, because you have to say, you know, Xbox has a really strong development foundation in the UK, and I just kind of came to realise that. I mean, you have to say that besides Rockstar, who are technically not in England, Edinburgh, I believe, that Fable, to date at least, right, is perhaps the most ambitious and largest game development project to be spearheaded and created in the UK by a British studio for a very, very long time, and one that's going to be exported globally, right? Look, we know about Ninja Theory, right? They straddle the line between indie and AAA, and in terms of production size and budget, right? Again, their words, not mine, and Rare is still figuring out whatever world is going to be. So Fable is a very important development on many fronts, right? Including, as I say, on the all-important domestic front. And we all know there are some fantastic studios making some potentially great games for Xbox in the similar space or genre as Fable, and third party as well to a degree. But how Playground Games is run and operated today, you know, credibility, hope, and promise is I think it's well placed, right, in terms of where we sit as not just as fans, right, but as gamers, right. I think fans does a disservice. We're gamers, right, and we really need to see more before any of us can offer an informed opinion on Fable. However, me personally, I would not bet against Playground Games producing a great Fable entry based on the showing of Forza 5 and everything that they promised would be included in that game from a technical perspective. And so that's everything from me.
Yeah, we're actually going to get that. That's actually going to be a small question I'm going to bring back around. And but you know what I do want to talk about, and I think it's an important conversation to have. You know, when we get to the game at the end of the year, everyone wants to know what game is going to be heralded by the Game Awards, or by one of the bigger sites as their game of the year. As it stands right now, this is one of the highest reviewed games of the year by many outlets. And the question I want to pose to the chat, because I didn't even have it in the notes, right? Because this is going to win that driving / sports game of the year award in the game of, with Jeff Keighley's event. That's not even, that's a given. Here's the question. I see people going back and forth with this. Okay. Could, or more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, should Playground Games Forza Horizon 5 be potentially winning game of the year? And I'm not talking about racing game of the year. I'm talking game of the year, right? In the same category as an open world game, as a RPG, as a strategy game, as a point and click game, as an RTS. You see, I think it absolutely should be in the conversation. And I would dare say that if it's not, it's going to be a crime against humanity, because and again, I understand people's opinions on it. Some people say, well, it's a racing driving game. Should it be a game of the year? Well, here's my rebuttal to that. Why not? It's a game, right? Like I did not know that we do have very, very specific categories for specific games. I always thought that a game of the year title is a game, not a specific game, a game. That's what this is. I think that what we are seeing it on the screen here, and you're watching it, folks, in 1080p, okay? Now, if you go watch the video review that I did, that's up on the channel, it's closing in on 2,000 views, which is great. I mean, I'd love it to have, honestly, 30,000 views, and I thought it would be higher. I'm going to be honest with you, but there are a lot of reviews out there, and again, the channel is so small. If you missed out on it, go check it out in 4K. It's the best work that I've done on a video production in a very, very long time. 9 hours it took me to produce that video from start to finish, and that wasn't the writing process. The writing process was probably another additional 2 or 3 hours, because I write the script, I proofread it, and I proofread it a third time, and I make my changes, right? So it was a very long process. I'm very, very happy with it. If you missed it, please, by all means, go check that out. But I got to bring this back to Fuzzy and go down in order. Where do you personally fall on a driving game winning game of the year? Should or could this be one of those contenders?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Me being a racing fan, although I do understand a lot of people view it as niche, just because it's not as big as, like, let's say a third-person adventure game, or like an RPG or things like that. But this actually has RPG elements in it with the car points and skill point system. But
you'll see throughout this whole thing, I'm leveling up left and right, and it's because I'm doing things to get the the points to do it. It's fantastic.
And there is story components as far as discovery and some of the lore and history of Mexico and certain regions and things like that. So I'm all for it being nominated. Winning, that's a tough one, because this is the same year when we have It Takes Two and Psychonauts and a whole list of other games. A lot of people are even including Gardens of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I know I don't want to go into a tangent, folks. I am telling you, it wasn't even on my freaking radar. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it with the utmost respect. When Jeff emailed me, Craig, got you the code. Here's the embargo. Read it, click it, sign it. Let's go. I did it. In this big gavessa of mine, I was like, shit, I gotta stop playing Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow, what a real life world problem. And I cannot wait to get back to it, folks. Wait for a sale if you don't want to spend the big bucks. The writing in that game, okay, is James Gunn level good. As a matter of fact, I said that, and he actually favored my tweet. I'm never washing these tweeting hands again. I'm going to tell you that right now. But please continue. Please continue.
Yeah, there's so many great games that came out this year. I don't want to put it as winning, but definitely I could see it being nominated.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll leave it at that. Like right now, I mean, before Psychonauts, 12 minutes, and I know a lot of people either struggled with that or it didn't quite, sit right with them. 12 minutes was my game of the year until playing Psychonauts, and then Psychonauts became
Yeah,
my
yeah,
game of
no,
the year.
no, no. Real quick, just to add to you, I'm seeing some things in here. Gary Duddle, good friend of the show, he says his game of the year could be Ratchet and Clank, could be
Yeah,
Hitman 3. That's another great one.
yeah,
We also have Sparhawk, good friend of the show, Resident Evil Village, and
yeah.
normally 10 out of 10 times Resident Evil Village. Oh, anything Resident Evil is usually my game of the year. It's going to be in my top 10 for sure.
Mhm.
But man, and I agree. I mean, there's Guardians could be in there, Psychonauts can be in, 12 minutes can be in there. The Ascent is going to be in my top 10. Maybe not for everybody, but I can love that game.
I was a big fan of Deathloop and Ratchet
Deathloop,
and
yeah,
Clank this year
Deathloop
as
is
well.
great.
So it's
The what was the Zelda like game? Death's Door,
oh
another
yeah,
one is going to be in the potential conversation. What? Here's the thing. I'm in this conversation. I don't want to suggest that because it's such an amazing game, it automatically has to win Game of the Year.
Mhm.
That's not exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's usually 6 or 7 games in this Game of the Year category, specifically with Jeff Keighley's event, right? It's usually 6 or 7 games that are
Mhm.
in there. Um, my point that I probably should have been a little bit more clear. Should this game be one of them? And I say 100%.
I can
Would
agree
it
with that.
win? I don't know. Because there are a lot of games it's going up against, but should it be in its own? See, and that's really kind of where I want to take this point. Feel free to answer it, and we'll bring it up to Crispy. We know that this game is going to be nominated in it has the very specific driving / sports sim category. It's going to win. It doesn't even have to show up. It could show up to the awards in its house slippers and win, right? It's not going to be a problem. But man, this is so well done. It's so well crafted. It's such an amazing showpiece for your Series X. It would seem to me almost a slight, if you will, if it wasn't in that Game of the Year category for a lot of people, not just Jeff's event. But continue, please. Fuzzy, you there, brother?
Oh, for me. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought we were going to switch over to Crispy. No,
yeah. I got.
I definitely think it should be considered or nominated. Um, Winning the award, it's a tough choice for me. Like as much as I love this game, there's a few others that kind of edged out in certain areas, but I would be as happy as could be if I saw it win. And honestly, considering like if you look at overall, sometimes the popular game wins. And this is it may not be popular because it's not on every platform or as popular in consideration, but you know, I don't want to badmouth any Overwatch players or anything like that. But if Overwatch, which is kind of also an arena shooter, it's kind of niche as well. If that can win Game of the Year, although I understand there's backstory and lore and whatnot, I think that this should be considered within the Game of the Year category as far as nomination. But I do think that there were some bigger hitters that came out this year that will probably walk away with the award. But for the sports category, yeah, this hands down. I can't. I don't think MLB the Show would have been able to edge this out. I mean, it did it
I
do
don't think
well
so,
this
brother.
year, but I don't think it edges it out. I don't think 2K22 edges it out. So yeah, this hands down walks away with the sports / racing award. Although, well, no, because Flight Sim, I think they had it for consideration the previous year for PC. With it just being on PC, I don't think they'll relist it for console. But
Yeah.
I think this wins hands down for that category.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Real quick, before we bring Crispy in on the conversation, I got to thank a few people for the super chats that have come in. Smitty Smith, our brother, thank you so much for being here, brother. He says, hello, panel and chat. Forza Horizon 5 is a tour de force. The industry will put some respect on playground games. The Book of X. Indeed, they certainly will. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says, this is going to be a fire show. Forza is amazing. I didn't get to play last night. My Series X made me re-download it. I was pissed, but I can play later. Yeah, dude, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Space Davikin drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the level of detail is insane. The parallax effects on the surfaces and lighting techniques are stunning, and the sound department is mind-blowing. Indeed, it absolutely is. But let's Crispy, let's get your opinion on this, brother. This is an interesting topic. You know, there are a lot of incredible experiences. I would dare say that 2021 might be the best year in gaming we've had in quite some time, considering that, you know, there's a pandy still going on, considering that a lot of these games were delayed from last year into this year. And considering that it's that a lot of these bigger developers are still finding it challenging to put out these games, in your opinion, should Forza Horizon 5 be in consideration for the Ultimate Game of the Year award?
Oh, it should be nominated. It's a game. It has some story to it. It has RPG elements. Like it's a game, people. Like it. If it's that good, then it should be nominated at the least. Now, there's been a lot of great games that have come out this year. So, you know, it's really a toss-up of who should win or could win, because everybody has their favorite game at this point. So, you know, some people think this should win. I think it should be
2 seconds,
nominated.
chaps. I can't hear a word anyone's saying for some reason.
Oh, that's weird. Well, first of all, Wandering Dutch,
Might be
welcome.
able to see us, though.
Yeah, well, we could see you. I don't know if you can hear us.
For some reason, I can't hear anybody, but I'm here.
Okay.
Nonetheless, thought I'd just drop in and say hello to everybody. Quickly, I'm still at work at the minute.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dutch. Appreciate it very much. He popped in, but we'll continue, Crispy. What were you saying, brother?
Well, you know, that's what it is. Like it's a game. Like, why can't it be nominated? It makes no sense. There's no argument for it not to be nominated, especially Overwatch winning. I'm sorry, but you know, that's like if PUBG or Fortnite, weren't they nominated at one point? You know?
Yes.
You know, so at least Fortnite, I believe, was nominated at one point. You know, and that's the thing. Like, if it's good enough, if it's like next level tier for a racing game, why can't it be nominated? You know, I wouldn't even say that this is just another racer now. You know, they literally mapped out Mexico, people. Like, you know, it's just insane what they pulled off with this game. And, you know, I think people are going to be enjoying it for years upon years. Like, it's incredible what they've done. So I think it should be nominated. I think a lot of people should agree with that, because, you know, there are games that you could be like, well, it doesn't have a huge story or nothing like that. It's mostly multiplayer, like, and it's been nominated. It's won, you know, so why is there an exception because it's a racing game? That makes no sense to me.
Yep. No, I absolutely 100% could not agree more. Dutch, I know we only got you for a few minutes, so I want to get you in on the conversation. Obviously, I want to get your take of the game, but I also want the question that we are asking is whether or not this game should or could potentially be in the Game of the Year running in that category for Game of the Year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, certainly. I hope everyone can hear us all right. I'm just outside of work at the minute. Not long going home, so I can't wait. Yeah, I've had a chance to play the game for about 5-6 hours so far, and it is just leagues above the previous title. There's absolutely no doubt that it should be recognized for what it is and what it does in the space and in the genre. So I think it's very much should be up there with Game of the Year shouts. I mean, it is the highest rated game of the year, so it would be really a travesty to overlook it and just sling it into its own genre for a nomination. It's just beautiful. The soundtrack is amazing. The audio is unbelievable. The world is vast. The map is massive. Like I thought, yeah, it's double the size of 4. That's not. I mean, it's big, but when you actually get onto the map, it feels much bigger, much more alive. There's so much more to it. It really is a treat to play.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Dutch, thank you so much for your thoughts, brother. We definitely appreciate you popping in, even for 5 minutes. Please, by all means, go home now and enjoy the H out of this game, because I think you're going to. Can't wait to talk more about this on Primetime Gaming. We're going to get everyone's experience on Monday and see who's played it. But thanks so much for being here, Dutch. Definitely appreciate it, bro. I'll see you later. Thanks, dude. VJ, let's get your opinion on this. Now, you are mild-mannered thinking.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one. Have a great show.
Dutch.
Cheers, Dutch.
All right, brother. Take care, brother. Thanks. Where do you fall in this conversation, VJ? And again, when we think of Game of the Year, a lot of people, including myself, would have equated that to like a big action RPG, like a God of War-esque, a Horizon type of title to win a Covenant Game of the Year type of situation. But I'm with everybody here. Hey, we got Asante jumping in. What's up there, brother? Listen, we're gonna come to you in a second, dude. Thank you for jumping in. The stars just keep popping in and out. This is amazing. But VJ,
yes, sir.
Playground Games has put together what many people are calling a masterpiece. I would not argue with that. Should this game be in the end year conversation for the Covenant Game of the Year win?
I mean, I just wanted to say, Boom, I'm so sorry if I deviated from the script. It was not my intention.
That's okay, brother. This is a conversational podcast. Everything counts.
It's just because I woke up early and you asked me a question. And I just did my usual think of offering a comprehensive answer. I didn't know this topic might be broken down into segments, so I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right, dude. Don't even sweat it.
Sort of. Well, I mean, I gave a pretty comprehensive breakdown, right, in terms of Forza, and if you didn't sort of infer or construe from my sort of elongated speech that I don't think that this game is a masterpiece, then I don't know what to say. I should perhaps be a little shorter in my replies. But to answer sort of this question specifically, I think it's already been sort of emphatically answered. I mean, from Crispy to Fuzzy, and I think there's a chap in the conversation in the chat itself, Sparhawk, and he offered a very sensible and logical thought. There's no reason why a game or a racing game, I should say, can't be contender for Game of the Year. I mean, it meets all the contender sort of prerequisites, I'm assuming, and it's on time or just before the deadline. And I'm sure it complies with all the rules and regulations besides being a beautiful and fantastic game. And that's all you need to see it as a video game. And for me, Boom, and probably for you as well. Look, I grew up in an era when you went to the coin ops, when you went to the arcades, full of cigarette smoke, I should add, is that racing games were and beat 'em up, side-scrolling beat 'em ups were top of the most anticipated genres to play. Everything from Outrun to hard driving to power drift. I mean, racing games for me.
Sega GT. Remember that one? That was $1. And back in the days when I was growing, I was a teenager. That was a lot of money. Like $1. I could play a quarter over here, but that was a big sit-down arcade. Sega GT, still the GOAT, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You had Off-Road and, sort of some other strange games. And then, and racing games were sometimes the first games, I would wait to come across to, the Spectrum, Amiga, Commodore 64, the Master System or the Mega Drive or the SNES. Those were the games that would be at the top of your list. And so I grew up with racing games, and I'm sure many people, the panel and the community in the chat grew up with those sorts of games. So racing game as a genre holds a special place in my heart, especially when Outrun and Victory Run came out on the PC Engine. So yeah, I'm with you, and I'm with the panel, and I'm with the community in the chat that if Forza 5, which is, as I've said as well, is a technical and a visual leap above Forza 4, perhaps, you know, in lieu of Fable. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd be really happy if something different and something as wonderful as Forza 5 received a Game of the Year award, regardless of whether anything else that's come out. I mean, someone's mentioned like Resident Evil, but a game that, you know, and look, I'm not saying, I play Resident Evil over and over again. I haven't played Resident Evil 8, but I think Crispy said a game. And Forza 4 has done this, right? A game that not only do you pick up and play now, but you're going to be playing in 6 months, a year's time, perhaps in community gaming nights and so on and so forth. And that perhaps will stand the test of time throughout this generation until we see whatever else is coming up. I think it would just be well deserved, Boom.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the mold broken. You know what I'm saying? Like again, most of the game of the year awards go to open world action RPGs, first person shooters, things of that nature. We still haven't seen and had a chance. Well, we haven't had a chance to play Halo Infinite, which is releasing December. That could potentially rocket to many people's Game of the Year. I think it's going to be in that level. That's just my opinion. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised with the single player campaign. I think we're already incredibly excited for the multiplayer. So I have no doubt.
Sorry, Boom. I get this feeling that you're already under some sort of embargo and enjoying it, you know, offline.
I wish I could listen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm praying that I'm one of the content creators that gets a copy to review, because I do want to review it for the channel. I'm not playing it now, folks. I wish I could.
Boom. I know you've got a sort of a very small corner of the screen, but I'm sure I just saw a wink there behind your glasses.
I love it, BJ. Thanks so much, brother. Listen, great points as always. Let's bring Kay Asante into the conversation. First of all, brother, thanks for joining us. I know that this is going to be a monster topic on tomorrow's Gaming Circle podcast at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on your YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, folks, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. Kay Asante, what have you had a chance to play? What are your thoughts are so far? But after you answer that, the question that really has come up, and it has been really big in the chat. There are some people saying that it should be in the Game of the Year conversation because it's a game, right? And I plant my flag in the sand here and say, yes, it's a game. Yes, it does have RPG elements. It does have all the bells and whistles that it should be in that conversation. Yep. A lot of people think otherwise. Well, it's just a racing game. I agree.
Yeah.
You know, so give us your experience, your thoughts of what you're playing, and then try and answer that question.
Yeah, first and foremost, as far as have I played it yet? No, I have not.
Okay.
And I was going to actually order it early and play it early, but I'm still I'm at the very last level of another Game of the Year, in my opinion, candidate, which is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude, we just talked about that.
I'm sipping that one as like a fine wine. I play a few minutes and then because I know that game's about to end on me, and I don't want it to. So I've been between that, and then I switched to Far Cry 6 because I'm still addicted to that, and I wanted to get this as well, but I'm just like, it's just too much right now.
Too many games. It literally is too many games. Big shout out to Big Bad Mo in the chat. He says, "Boom, you're driving though." Listen, my driving is wacky. Fun. Come on. Yeah, I crash, I flip, I do all kinds of banana things. You can do that in this game and get away with it.
So actually, oddly enough, yesterday I was like, you know what? What I think I'll do is I will continue my Forza 4 gameplay. I've been playing Forza is something you play for a long time, right?
Yes,
and
indeed.
And I actually end up owning them. So before they get delisted, I buy them with everything. So I can always keep going back and playing them with the DLCs and all of that. You know, shout out to Fuzzy. I know he knows what I'm talking about. He's a big Forza guy. So I've been kind of going through and just playing it and seeing your great review that you did and a bunch of other reviews. And I'm looking at it going, how the hell could they make Forza 4 even better than this? Like, what the hell? But by all accounts, obviously they have, right? Now, I am super excited to play it. Obviously, even though I keep saying I'm gonna wait until I finish the others, I already have it pre-downloaded on the PC. I'm probably going to pre-download it on the Xbox and at least start dipping the toes in while I finish up my others. Now, what do I think that of this game being considered for Game of the Year? Now, if you look right now at multiple lists of the best game of all time, right? Now, obviously, gaming is a very subjective kind of art.
Indeed,
some people like
yes.
this, some people like that. But on many top game of the year lists, not the year, I mean of all time. Do you know what that game is? You'd be surprised.
Oh, what is
Tetris.
it? Whoa. Okay.
Tetris is considered by many, like I'm talking about, they've done focus groups, and I'm talking about, hey, what do you think, what I think? They have done extensive research. I've seen a few of them where it's been Tetris, right? And if that's a world we can live in, and I for one agree, by and large, that subjectively Tetris is considered to be considered one of the greatest games of all time because it keeps getting reinvented and it always gets a new audience, right? I think the gentleman who built that in the 80s got shafted because he should be a billionaire right now, but hey, that's another story. You know, if that's a world where we can live, then 100% this should be considered Game of the Year, just general Game of the Year caliber, right? I equate this game to, and I love movies and stuff, so I also always point to movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That animated movie should have been Game of the Year, not animated game, not animated movie or animated film. It should have been
Film of the Year.
Film of the Year, point
100%.
blank, right?
Yeah.
And
the writing was amazing.
That's
right. The visuals were amazing.
That's
the story was on another level.
Another level. They really took it someplace that we had not seen with Spider-Man before. Got so many people invested into it, right? The fact that they regulated that to best animated, I felt this was a disservice to that.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
And I'm afraid that this might befall Forza as well, right? It should be, because if you play 4, if you play 3, actually, and I've seen a lot of really good YouTube channels do some excellent breakdowns. Like they've analyzed it to the point where you can literally drive the same car, right, in multiple versions and see the uplift over the years, right? I think Digital Foundry did a very interesting one where they showed you the best of the last gen compared to now the best of this gen, and you can literally drive the same car on the same road, but now you're playing Forza 2, I think it is, or Forza 3 compared to Forza 5, right? Because it's the same road, and every year you see, every time they iterate, you see them dial it up more and dial it up more, and even this one being cross-gen somehow is dialed up to 11 to an amazing degree, right? So if we're talking about a world where a game, they can keep tweaking it and keep tweaking it to the point where it is perfection in its own genre, it deserves to get recognized as perfection, right? Yeah. Everyone agrees with it. Yeah, I understand that the in the pop, quote unquote, pop landscape of gaming, you know, if you're not a third person over the shoulder with RPG elements, you get shafted and regulated to a subcategory. But that should, as I've heard folks say on this pod so far, that should be broken, right? That narrative should be broken. Any game of its ilk, as long as you're really like pushing the envelope, should 100% get at least the nomination. Should at least get the recognition that you were part of that discussion, right? Will this get that discussion? I hope so. I don't know if it will, because, you know, it is what it is. You know, that's what you do. And I see Splendiferous going, yes, sad dad simulators. Yes, You know what I'm talking about, good sir. But yes, you know, I'm excited to try it. I honestly think that folks should break out of that habit of, hey, this is just a racing game. Oh, this is just because as VJ correctly pointed out, there was a time your indies of today used to be the AAAs of yesterday. Yep. Right?
Correct.
You know,
yes.
That over-the-shoulder thing has not always been the narrative, right? It turned into that narrative over time, right? We should get back to a place where every game of every kind can be looked at as in a vacuum of itself, rather than comparing it to the status quo, which is what we're doing right now, right? Yeah. Everything's always compared to the status quo, which tends to be that third person over the shoulder. Hey, how much of a dad simulator is it? You know, we should not be doing that. Even though, hey, let the record show I am down for the dad simulators. I'm a dad. I enjoy my dad simulators. But, you know, if this game is really like, and by all reviewers, it's 100% getting there, right? Everyone is just throwing praise at this thing. It's got very high meta scores for those who enjoy meta. You know, there should be no reason why this thing is not in the general conversation of game of the year. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to play it. I know this thing will, and Forza is one of those things where it's always installed. You know, it's a palate cleanser if you need it. You can play it with the kids around, so it can be played during the day. You know, I'm not playing Far Cry 6 during the day because, you know, we don't want to be murking fools in front of the kiddies. So Forza gets a lot of play in my house, and I suspect this one specifically will get a lot of play because a lot of it is that real, or is that photo? Is that real? You know, so that will all be a part of the equation. Now, the only thing that I heard that was a little less than, and I know you've been playing it a bit, Boom. You can expound a bit on that for me. I heard the music is not as hot as it should be. That they missed an opportunity with Mexico a little bit on that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right. Look, here's the thing. There are enough channels for you to find something that you like. I found myself listening to Hospital Radio, which is something I listened to in the other ones. And look, I'll say this:
and all of that.
Block Party is another one. They do have some classic stuff in there. I mean, they had some Run DMC, which I was like, whoa, okay, that's great.
It's all good.
They had Beastie Boys in there. They had a bunch of stuff that I listened to on Octane in there, which is a rock station on Sirius. So they did have variety. I am gonna say though, it's very clubby. You know what I'm saying?
Real quick. I went to Cozumel some years back, Mexico. And as soon as I got off the boat, went on a cruise. As soon as I got off the boat, I hear the Rolling Stones playing, and I'm just like, if I wanted to hear the Rolling Stones, I'd go back to the mainland, man.
Yeah.
I'm here in Mexico. I want to hear some local fare, you know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that at least, I know this is a live game and it updates and changes frequently, and you know, they do something. I hope folks are a bit more vocal with the feedback and get some of that in there. You know, I really appreciated that they put some local artists in there, so you could really see some of their local some of the murals on the walls and things like that. I really saw the ads for that and look really, really cool. I hope they do, and maybe it's because I've been knee deep in Far Cry 6 and their music is just amazing. I'm hoping we get more of that. You know,
yeah. Now, real quick, a Creeper Evo X says something pretty interesting. He says, it's not a boomer radio. It's something that we have to understand. But you see, here's the thing. There's no age bracket or generational bracket for gaming, right? At least there shouldn't be. I don't judge a game based on I judge a game based on its merits, right? And look, I got a little criticism in my review that I shaved off half a point for my my breakdown of the character creation thing.
Yeah.
And I'll bring that up right now. The character creation thing. Look, for the pronouns and the inclusion of people of every race and creed and him, her, and all that stuff, I think is incredibly important. The representation is fantastic. It's what I love about Microsoft. Okay, but the character creation did not receive the same advancement as the game. It seems like it has been left behind. Look. Like I'm 6 feet, 208 pounds. Right. I train twice a week. Right. I'm in decent shape for a 51-year-old. I'm rocking a mohawk, which a lot of people don't do. Those options are not available in your character creation. I know some people say, well, just a second, Boom. No one cares about what your character looks like. Hold on. Forza cares. Playground game cares. Creator. Because that's exactly the point.
They gave you a character
They
creator.
gave you the ability to create a character. You are required to start this game by your character creation, right? My character looks like a 20-something-year-old stoner. And I'm bothered by that. I'm not saying they should have an Elden Ring-esque scale, or a Fable-esque scale of
you've seen
creation.
them Elden Ring creations, right? When they come out, they'll come out. All the From ones, you end up like with this weird ghoulish dude that just really goes completely off the rails. But I hear you. I actually think it'd probably be best if they're not ready to go that far, then just give us a few options for characters and let that be that, rather than giving us a character creator that then becomes disappointing. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I look, and here's the thing. For the most part, you don't see the character outside of when you're looking in the glass, right?
Or
We
when you
get
win
that.
and you're doing the dance.
But see, that's my point. They put it in the game where you can dress the character with the way you want, right? You can celebrate by doing backflips or the hangman or whatever you want to do, the
All those
robot,
things.
whatever.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
if those are in the game, that tells me that the character creation is an integral part of it. And it seems as if that part of the game, which is why I shaved off, the 5 points, the half a point, is, in my opinion, has been left behind. And I think that it needs to be addressed. Now, could that be addressed in an update? I mean, I'm not saying the game is crap because of it. I'm saying
not at
that
all.
it is
Yeah.
something that needs to be looked upon. And again, let's take for what they did really good with it. If you are someone that's missing a limb, for instance, right? They gave you the ability to give you a prosthetic. I think
That's
that
really
is
cool. Same thing in Halo. Very awesome. Very cool.
incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like I said, one of the biggest things that I love about Microsoft is the ideology that everyone matters, right? And I think that we don't get that we don't get that out of big corporations usually.
True.
Right?
True. Yeah.
Microsoft is straight up, and I mean, again, this is a game, right? So we have to look at how impactful that actually is, because they're letting you express yourself in how you are. I just wish, for me, it was better suited to represent, like, for instance, like the hairstyles are very, very limited.
Very limited. Yep.
Again, I just look like a regular white guy with curly hair. Is that what I look like here? No, there's a bit of complexity of, for Boom.
As a man who walks around in games usually with a white man's hair only dyed black because they don't know how to do black hair well, and that's a whole different thing.
Yes,
I completely understand where you're coming from. Good.
So I mean, again, is it going to,
it's not going to ruin the game.
No, it's not going to ruin the game.
You can love it and still have some creative criticism and some feedback.
Yeah.
And they've proven themselves to be very, very good with feedback. You tell them, and more often than not, you'll see some updates, you'll see some changes, or even if they can't do it, maybe the next iteration gets a little better. Or hopefully we see the next iteration and it's just one guy, one girl, and this is their story, and you don't have a character created. All can be happening, but we can criticize it while still giving it the good stuff. Worst case scenario, as far as the radio is concerned, I'll just have Spotify running in the background playing what I want to hear rather than what's on the thing.
Someone actually dropped a super chat in here that talked about that. First of all, DJ Birdo DOS drops a $5 super chat and says, "Rainy day here in South Florida. Breakfast with Boom just made the day a little bit more tolerable." Well, thanks for that compliment, brother.
It's been raining all day around here.
And I'm glad that you have a chance to enjoy the show. Thank you for listening. Let's see. We got a couple more super chats. Drawn TJ drops a super sticker of $5. Thank you for that. Splendiferous, good friend of the show, drops a $5 super chat, and he says something very interesting. No Far Cry 6 in the daytime, Mr. Asante. Mr. Boomstick, one of the most classy guys in podcasting. Thank you. Any game should be able to win Game of the Year. It's only fair. I absolutely agree.
Indeed.
And Drunken Chewy drops a very interesting $5 super chat. And what he says is exactly what you've been talking about, Kay. If you haven't played Far Cry 6, you should, because it's an incredibly amazing first-person shooter. But when you're in the cars, the radio...
Not just the cars. When you're running around, the neighbors...
They're
dude
playing
in the background.
Yeah,
you got the radio going, and you just want to stop and dance for a moment, just for a moment. It's so good.
It's pretty epic. He says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Wish they had a Mexican music channel. I can imagine racing while he's listening to Tigres del Norte blasting in the background. And yes, that would be awesome. And I think it should be. Now they have classical. If you like Bach, it's probably there. Not a big fan. So I mean, I wouldn't be listening to that. I like the Beastie Boys. That's more my style.
I really appreciate that they wanted the authenticity of the location, but this is part of that. And
100%.
that part was a little like, for instance, we all want them to go to, like, Japan next, right?
They
If
better.
you do not have Japanese hip hop in the next iteration and you're in Japan, that is a fail.
Yeah,
Because that's
Same
amazing.
thing with K-pop. If they don't have K-pop,
exactly.
They don't have K-pop tunes playing in the background.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fail, which 100%.
Because it takes you to that location. It really engrosses you in that location. And unfortunately, that's the only part that's missing. But hey, there's always Spotify. They'll let you run your own music in the background while you're doing this. But it is one piece that I hope that, as they're really taking, getting you engrossed in that world, they need to pay a little bit more attention to that part as well. That's my only opinion.
100%. Now, listen, I do want to get into the Elden Ring conversation because that happened yesterday, folks. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a game that I may not get a tremendous amount of play because Boom is terrible at these games, but there are some that I really get into. Now, this before we get into the Elden Ring conversation, we're going to get into that. I just want to give the panel a chance to kind of, if you have any last thoughts on Forza. We've heard Keosante, VJ, Crispy, Fuzzy. You have anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
The only thing I would say is, and I think we talked about this before the show, would be if Xbox put the avatars to use, because you can do a little bit more customization. I understand they're more Pixar-ish kind of, but if they had, or all the effort that was put into that, if you could just use those avatars in place, that I think could be a nice solution. But
that's a good idea, Fuzzy, for sure. Yeah.
But I do hope that in the next iteration that they do allow for like more height and weight adjustments and things like that, because I'm only 5'9" and my wife is 5 foot, so it's one of those things where it would be nice to at least have a closer representation of us physically in the game, since we're kind of recreating ourselves in the game. But in all, it's still an awesome game. Just a couple of little things they could work on, and hey, that's what we'll hopefully see in 6, but that's all I got.
Yeah, and Drawn TJ dropped a $5 super chat and says Forza Horizon 5 does have a Mexican channel. See, that's the thing. I have listened to them all, and I see. Here's the thing: if it's there, it's done in such a way that I missed it, and that's the problem. Because
that should be on by default. The others should be secondary.
Yeah, I've put 40 hours into this game. I mean, honestly, legitimately 40 hours. And I keep going back to the same 2 channels because everything else did not seem like it didn't catch my ear. And I love music. I listen to listen, I'm a guy that goes back all the way to the 50s that listens to music from them all the way to now. And that's everything: R&B, rock, rap, you name it. If it has music and lyrics, I'm listening to it because I love culture. I love different different music genres. I mean, the list is ridiculous. And for some reason, if it's there, either I missed it, or it's not relevant enough, or it's not done in a way where it respects the culture and puts it in your face. Yeah, put it in your face. So I'm going to definitely check that out for sure. But folks, I hope that you enjoyed the hour and 22 minutes of Forza talk for this show. But we got to talk about what happened yesterday, folks. Elden Ring had a pretty hefty gameplay demo that was out there. Oh, you see, I just flipped my car. Yeah, it wasn't good. Thank goodness for the rewind button.
Button.
Yeah, 100%. But folks, this game has fallen into my scope of, I am playing this game. Now, granted, I'm not a Souls guy. Everyone knows that. It's not because the games aren't good. It's because there are some of these games that I have the lack of patience to die 75 times to beat a boss. It's just, you know what? When you produce 3 and 4 shows a week, you have limited time. And on top of these production shows that I do every week, I still have a house to take care of. I still got to go pick up the missus. I still got to spend time with her in the evening. So there's not enough time in the day, right? So when I walked away from this, the first thing I immediately did was reserve the collector's edition because that statue is dope. What I missed out on, and I'm kind of mad, was the ultimate collector's edition that comes with the actual helmet. Which I think was exclusive to their store, and by the time I got in, it wasn't available. So I'll just take the statue collector's edition. But getting back to the game, wow. Kay and I were talking yesterday, and he said something that resonated with me almost immediately. It's very Breath of the Wild. And this is where I take the time to play this game because not only because it reminded me of Breath of the Wild, it reminded me of Souls, but it also reminded me of one of the best samurai games in the history of samurai games, and that of course is Sony's own. The name escapes me. Ghost of Tsushima. Especially when you're sneaking, the guards are there. You see a treasure, and you're sneaking, and you can jump down. You do all these different things. I'm like, well, see that is taking the tried and true Souls to another level. Obviously, there was a point where there's a dragon that came down. Like you went to a point in the map and the dragon jumped down. You're like, okay, now it's on, and that became very Souls-like, right? But him riding on the horse, there's these jumps that send you flying across a cavern. You're like, whoa, this is what I'm talking about. So let's get into everyone's opinion. We'll start first with our two guests. And we'll go first to Kay Asante because I don't know how much we have of his presence because obviously he is working. Kay Asante, what are your takeaways from what people are saying is one of the biggest games of 2022? And that game is releasing on February 25th. And wow, in the same month, Kay.
So
as Horizon.
I gotta call fraud on myself. When this whole Elden Ring thing started, I was so not interested. Why?
Because I'm not right there with you.
People took a nugget of information and expounded and blew it up and made a whole world. There's a Reddit post, there are Reddit like forums about it. You know nothing, but you made so much of it, right? So I'm just like, oh, here we go again, hype overload, right? And as far as Soulsborne games go, I have tried almost all of them. I'm actually playing the remake on PS5. I'm playing that little by little. Like you, I don't have that much time in the day. Got kids running around, so playing scary, violent games is a very limiting factor. And if I do it during the day, I have to do it in my office,
right?
Because otherwise the kiddies, you don't want to do that, right? So me getting a chance to play those games. When I do, usually it's in the evening time. Work day is behind you, all that, and you want to get some forward progression. My boy Everborn says it all the time. You don't have that much time to play. When you do, you want to feel like you're accomplishing something little by little. And these games
100%
work against you.
Yes,
in that way. Obviously, eventually you crack the nut, and then it's amazing, and you feel like a sense of accomplishment and all of that. But before you get there, you will die a million zillion times before that nut is cracked, right? So that usually just gets me to a point where I'm just like, I see it, I respect it, but I can't go any further, and I put it down. I've done that on many occasions. I've tried so many games. I actually did beat the original PS3 version of Soul, the remake that they're
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls, yes, I did beat that one. But since the graphics are so great and all that, and I'm a pixel peeper and all of that, I enjoyed trying the remake, and it's great. So I initially came into this Elden Ring thing going, yeah, whatever. And then they said George R.R. Martin. I was like, yeah, that dude needs to finish his own books first before he can go work on anybody else's thing. So even that made me go, yeah, whatever, Then I saw this footage. And and even one other thing that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That whole report that came out that it was all but a shoe-in on Xbox's showcase, but in order not to upset Sony, they took it back, even though they had the bag. They gave the bag back to Microsoft because they didn't want to upset PlayStation. I'm like, now I really hate this game. Like, it doesn't matter if you got the bag, take the bag, take the bag.
Take
You
the
know,
bag and show the game.
yes,
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
some days it goes to PlayStation, no big deal. Some days it goes to Xbox. But why would you go, yeah, we kind of want to keep our PlayStation overlords happy, so we're going to preclude the bag, and instead we'll go to Sweden, which would be the Keeleys, right? I thought that was a very weird look. So all of that is what I came into this trailer with.
Oh, certainly
And
left a
then-
bad taste in your mouth. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then I saw the trailer, and it's like it's like as if they saw Breath of the Wild and went, all right, that's cute. Let's make the real one. Like anywhere you go, anywhere you see, you can go. You're on your horse. There's weird stuff happening all over the place. Unlike most Souls games, it's not like empty world and then one fight, empty world and another fight. You meet the weird dude who's a bottle, literally a bottle with arms and legs, and you
gotta whack him out of the.
That's where I got the Breath of the Wild feels. I'm like, this is just weird and unusual. Of course, you'll get into battles, and of course, it'll turn into a Souls game, but it's very, very Breath of the Wild influence from what I can tell, right? And that got me intrigued. You know, I may not want to battle because eventually you'll get to a place where you have to hit your head against the wall, and you'll just be like, oh, here we go again. But before then, just the sense of exploration, all the crazy biomes, and also what really got me there was, I said I had to call fraud on myself. Usually, Souls games are very obtuse, both in storyline and in mechanics and in what is this thing? What does this do? Good luck. Try to figure it out, right? But it looks like from the small amount that we've received, it sounds like George R.R. Martin has actually had a pretty good effect on this thing. Like, when they're talking,
there's a significant amount of lore that you're gonna. It may go over a lot of people's heads, right?
It kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
yeah.
All the other Souls games I've played, I've tried because I'm a lore guy. I enjoy that stuff. That's why Halo is considered my favorite franchise of all time, because they have such intricate lore, but they layer on top of each other, and it gets, you want to know what happens next, right? Unlike most other first-person shooters, you hit skip to get back to the game. No, I'm playing to get to the next cutscene. Right? That's me, right? So I've always, like, people who love the Souls games have always been all about, oh, this is so great, you have to get into it. But every time I try to, it's like they're speaking a different language, right? Finally, admittedly, it's only 20 minutes of footage. It seems like they're speaking a language I can understand. It's not as obtuse. They're using Game of Thrones like vernacular, when mentioning the name, oh, Garen the Great and all of that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm just like, okay, not only is it like adult Breath of the Wild, but it also has George R.R. Martin's kind of atmosphere layered
fingerprint for it, for sure.
Yeah. So will I beat this game? Probably not.
Yeah.
Will I play it? Oh, 100%. I'm Ooh, that's an awesome. Well done, good sir. I just saw that.
You saw that flip, right?
That was very cool. I was like, is he going to mess it up? No, he lands it. It's awesome. But no, I'm so excited to play it. I think it's very interesting. This will probably fall into all the other Souls games that have fallen for me, which is, hey, it's great until you bang your head against the wall for the umpteenth time and go, yeah, I'm done now. I'm going to go play another power fantasy game. But what we've seen so far, I am definitely intrigued. I still think people are going a little overboard. They're literally creating whole worlds out of nothing from whole cloth because they saw those trailers. But it's good to have excitement. Now I'm on board. I at least want to see where this goes, and hopefully it actually gets to those heights that they've been trying to reach. I mean, the last time Phil said he's played it, he was saying that it's the most ambitious thing that he's seen that they're going for. So you can definitely see that. It's definitely like very ambitious in its scope. So I'm excited to definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now do we have confirmation that Microsoft does in fact have the marketing with that?
Mm-mm.
They don't have the marketing.
So if I'm not mistaken, Grub and if I'm wrong, then I apologize. But from what I recall, Grub was saying, and that's Jeff Grubb, was saying that they were shooting for it, and it's still kind of in play. They don't really know if who has it yet. But at the time, during I think it was like during the summertime when that potential was coming out. Remember there were leaked trailers and all of that.
Yeah,
that was supposed to go on Xbox's stage, but Xbox threw as much money as they could at them, and they were afraid that if they did that, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you're not in Game Pass, let's be real, if you're not in Game Pass, your game will probably not sell as good as it would on PlayStation, right? because Game Pass gives you that big bag from jump, and then maybe you might not get as many users from day one, but the Game Pass money also subsides it, right?
Yeah.
Not to say it'd be exclusive, but the word was they kind of didn't like the idea. They were afraid that PlayStation would not like the idea that they're working with Microsoft. So instead,
which is ridiculous,
which is ridiculous, because this happens. It's business. Everybody takes the bag and they do all of that. But to think that, oh well, our PlayStation overlords might not like that, so we'll, instead of taking this bag, which we all need, we're not going to take it, and we're going to go to Sweden, which will be Keeley, so nobody can get upset about it. I don't know the logistics there, right? That was the report at the time, right? We shall see. I just thought it was very odd and messed up if that was actually the case of it, because it happens all the time. Where's Final Fantasy remake? Where is it? That's business. What are you gonna do?
They definitely gave them an additional bag of money to keep that away from because it was supposed to come out in spring for
exactly.
Xbox. And
last we heard, they're still having conversations about it. Maybe they're asking for a bigger bag. It is what it is. We know what Square's about, But this should have been open and shut, whether it be on Xbox or PlayStation. Who cares? You'll play it where you want. I just thought it was very weird that, they're not going to give us anything for it, but we're not going to take the people whose money who are giving us something because we don't want to upset them. I'm like, who are they to be upset? Like, it's ridiculous. But okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you. Again, I did go into this. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that it was a big old yawn. I was like, I'm playing Forza. I don't care about anything else, right? And it turns out that it did appeal to me, especially because it is very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild, which I played through twice. I absolutely loved it. I spent so much time cooking in that game; it's obscene, and cannot wait to play Breath of the Wild 2, which is rumored to be first quarter of 22. And here's the thing. I think Horizon Forbidden West is going to be quite a fine game. My most anticipated PS5 game for next year, because
I have it pre-ordered. I have the
me too. I have the collector's edition pre-ordered as well. Edition. Yeah, me too.
Indeed.
So I'm very excited for that game. I don't think we're getting God of War 2. I think that's early 2023, but that's a topic for another time. But
I hope we don't. I got too many games on the schedule.
It is too many games. Yeah, save the dad sim for 23. It's fine. It's fine. We'll see Atreus and his dad come back in a big way next year or the following year. But if you look at February, wow, February is packed, man, and it makes me wonder. Are we going to see Horizon suffer from the Breath of the Wild effect? Remember, it took. I mean, it sold well eventually, but a lot of people didn't play it. A lot of people didn't pick it up.
I was on that crusade back in those days, saying, "Hey, you can't climb everywhere you want, but Horizon's a damn good game. Play this." And they went, "No, Breath of the Wild."
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild. It
totally
got squashed. It got that Titanfall 2 unfortunate. Stank on it, as it were. I hope that doesn't happen to it again.
Well, I mean, now that you think about it, in that arena is Horizon, potentially Breath of the Wild 2, and now Elden Ring. Yikes!
And do we know when Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out?
We don't. Okay. Nintendo has not officially said that, but the rumor is the first quarter, potentially February, early March. But
you see that would be. Two, that would really sandwich Horizon in between. Oh man, that's just not a good look.
Definitely not. Let's get Fuzzy in on the conversation. But Fuzzy, before I do, brother, I gotta catch some super chats. We have Abacab72, friend of the show. He drops a $5 super chat and says, "In my opinion, the best way to do character creation was back in the day when you had your Xbox avatar in the game. PlayStation, and the PlayStation did that as well. And did he ask me, did I get the Halo Collector's Edition? No, I did not, because I have right above me that energy sword lamp.
Real quick about that. For those who still want to buy the game, Walmart has a thing. It's not the full collectors, but it's the steel case, and you get the helmet, like not the full wear-on helmet, but it's almost like a toy helmet that comes with it as well. It's kind of like a free edition in addition to the steel case for the same price, $60.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome if you want to check it out. Yeah, and they still have it. I pre-ordered that yesterday.
Nice,
It's
nice,
not the
excellent.
full collection, but it's better.
Yeah,
than
I
you
mean, the
get
collector's
just with the
edition
standard
is
game.
look. I'm gonna be honest with you. It comes with a replica of one of the little miniguns. I don't think it looked that good. You know what I'm saying? Because when I saw the energy sword, I'm like, well, I have that right here. I already bought that. So
Yep.
I don't need lanyards. You know what I'm saying? I don't need patches. I have 1,000 patches. So yeah.
And another pro tip I have, I'm full of PSAs today. Xbox is selling the actual Halo, the Halo edition of Series X consoles on their site right now. You can hit buy.
Holy shit! No way.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So if you still want one, it's maybe the minute I said it, now it's sold out. But like 5 minutes
Site
ago,
crashes.
I was ready to hit buy, and I could have. And it's on their site right now. So there you go, PSA.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
And it's gone.
Sorry. There you go.
That's funny. Well, you know what? Let's get your opinion on Elden Ring. But Fuzzy, excited? What'd you think of the footage?
I like the footage, the overall aesthetic or the look of the game, even though it's got some weird enemies and things like that as far as enemy types. I definitely want to give this one a try. And I'm not the normal Souls type player. I see a bit of Sekiro as far as some of the combat moves, but it's like I have a gut feeling I'm going to wind up picking this up instead of Horizon Forbidden West. And it's not nothing against Horizon Forbidden West. Like I kind of lost a little bit of my enthusiasm when they said it was going to be on the PS4 and PS5. Not the gatekeep, people on PS4s or anyone that couldn't get a PS5. But I remember the dev saying something about the whole flying mechanic. I mean, we have a gliding mechanic, which is cool, but the flying mechanic just wasn't a possible thing for the PS4. And with them kind of still putting the game on PS4, it's like, come on. But they have so much more going on in that game. But I have a gut feeling because there's so many things coming out in February. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the other games that I'm more excited about over all of them is Dying Light that's coming out as well. So February is pretty stacked. I think Saints Row, which is another one I want, is coming out around the same time. But as far as Elden Ring, love what I saw as far as the combat, the trailer, the environment. It's probably not going to be a day one, but I have a feeling I'm going to wind up probably picking it up and then wait for a sale for Horizon Forbidden West. But yeah, it looks awesome. It'll probably be my first Souls game in a long time, and I will play it on my base controller instead of my Elite because I have a feeling I'm going to wind up throwing it at some point. So
that's not surprising at all. Crispy, let's get your opinion. What did you think of the 15-20 minute footage that we see? Did it impress you enough that it could be on your radar for 2022, or are you not even a Souls fan?
I didn't even watch it, Boom, to be honest.
Okay, no, that's all right.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's one of those things. Like I tried Sekiro at a buddy's house one time, and I wanted to throw controller after an hour.
Yeah,
and that's not like me. You know what I mean? And I play, like, a lot of people consider Gears of War a pretty difficult multiplayer game to learn. And that was just on another level. And I'm just like, dude, I can't just sit here by myself and just take this beating. I was like, I will never, like, it's just one of those things. Like, it just confirmed that it's just not my game. Like, it's not something that, I could just really push through. You know what I mean? So, I shame on me. I didn't watch it, and I'm sure it's going to be a great game for the Souls lovers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, real life, folks, gets in the way of podcasting. So yeah, I appreciate the honesty. And yeah, you know what? Again, I had Sekiro. I played it. I didn't beat it. I got past the first boss, and after a while, I was like, yeah, this is just not for me. It was the difficulty was a little tough. Again, not a big Souls guy. This, on the other hand, has more exploration. It seems more open world RPG than it does a Souls game, where a Souls game kind of puts you in a specific area. You go, you try to open up a couple of shortcuts, you get through a few places, you fight the boss, you die 500 times, you come back, you beat them, and you're very excited. I'm still gonna. Again, there are some games that I'll play like they're meant to play. There was the Samurai one for the PlayStation 4. What the hell's the name of it? They had part 1 and 2. Somebody help me out in the chat. It's like Souls, except it's you're a samurai.
Neo?
Yes, Neo.
Yeah.
See, now Neo, unbelievably enough, is a game that I have not only 50 hours in. I got to the last boss. I just couldn't beat him. And you say, well, boom, you're not a Souls guy. And here's why I was able to play through that game. I played it like Onimusha more than I played it like Souls. And it worked for me somehow. Why? I don't know. But that is something that I was very excited to play. I did play through almost to the end of Neo 1. I got Neo 2. I never got into it. Too many games, backlog. It is what it is. But real quick, Andrew Cullion in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: I thought the world looked empty. The bosses looked terrible, and the clipping was horrible. I mean, then obviously you're not getting this game, dude. And I hear you. I hear you. Listen, again, not every game's not for every gamer. So again, if you miss it and it's not on you, thanks Game Labs. A lot of people, ITZ, Temeth, V2, everyone has jumped in here and said, yeah, Neo, thank you for the correction and the help. I definitely appreciate that. Let's get VJ's opinion about this. Now, this game appears to be loaded with lore. We know who's behind it. We know that obviously, there's going to be a significant lore building. Is this a game that you can find yourself getting into? And what do you think of the trailer?
Just to Kay Asante, it's Switzerland, not Sweden.
Yes, I sincerely apologize.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling your leg. I'm just pulling your leg.
Yes. Sweden, forgive me.
Sweden.
And I've actually been there, so there you go. Faults for me. Apologies.
Look, Boom, I may come across a little sort of over or apparent or a bit biased, but take into consideration I'm sort of partial to and sort of typically mostly Japanese studio developed video games. I mean, you guys, I guess kind of know that, right? Because my first outdoor exposure was to coin-ops, right? Whereby sort of the best experiences were mainly produced by the sort of very creative Japanese video game producers. So anyway, given that preamble, there's no surprises when I say that I'm ready for whatever Elden Ring promises to offer. And
okay,
it's definitely something unique and intriguing in terms of I would say you're in contrast to sort of what I've been playing recently. And it's strangely enough, I've been playing PS2 and Xbox 360 games. I won't go into that, but for me, I always look forward to From Software games, and when I saw Elden Ring, the gameplay trailer, everything from the visual design to the themes, sort of it evokes, sort of all set in a sort of gritty but beautiful world. Sort of, I don't know. For me, it kind of caused me to take, haul in a sort of a deep but sharp intake of breath. It just seems so deliberately created, cultivated, and crafted, and that's what I see. And I guess that's the beauty of gamers and opinions, right? We all see things differently. And look, I can't recall the last time I've seen a sort of beautiful yet sort of seemingly practical and functional overworld map. And I know it's only a small detail, but I kind of get frustrated with some overworld maps. But I really like the look of this one, and I hope it sort of gameplay wise works out as good as it looks, and I think it does, right, from the brief explanation that they gave us, and I think we saw the movement of the controller sort of hovering over the screen and the icon and so on and so forth. For me, I'm a big proponent of Game Pass, and I know we may not have heard about this deal, but if Q1 doesn't really have everything that you want from Game Pass, or perhaps for some it looks a little sparse or a damp squib, disappointing for those not familiar with the term. Especially for Xbox first party, second party releases. I hope that Xbox have been in the conversation at least, right, or attempted to spend some of that accumulated and sort of ever increasing subscription fee cash flow to perhaps negotiate a deal with and get Elden Ring firmly and squarely placed in Game Pass. And that would be a statement, right, going up against PlayStation's first party releases in Sony's last and very busy fourth quarter. And I only say that, right, because I just want to see Xbox keep applying pressure on Sony and increase the quality of increase the quality, I guess, of what Game Pass affords us, right? An all-inclusive community. But for me, you know, maybe I'm it's too early in the morning for me, and I'm aiming a bit too high, and perhaps I'm too hopeful. But perhaps Xbox surprises. I don't know. But for now, I admit, now listening back to myself, it feels like perhaps I'm building, you know, a castle in the sky, so to speak. But then again, you know, but why Elden Ring and why not something else? And I agree. I don't know if it was somebody in the, I think it was a super chat boom, and I have to agree. Look, From Software is not known for their technical prowess, right? And I for me, you know, I kind of, when I was again, you know, sort of watching the trailer, right, I found myself, and I guess many others, right, from that watched it as well, right, especially because the game is From Software, right, a proven developer. The trailer itself sort of immediately, suddenly, you know, just caught me, and it was like I was in a state of grace, right? That's what the trailer exuded from me. Just great intelligence, a sort of innocence and beauty, sort of. I don't know. I was just a little bit beside myself. Maybe it just caught me off guard. I really don't know, but for sure, I'm absolutely looking forward to the game. For me, when a game grabs me like that, or a trailer grabs me like that, it's a sure sign to keep an eye out for it. And I think it's going to have a really wonderful reception, especially by, you know, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of fans, right, of From Software games, and I think it'll do really, really well, if not mainstream. And I don't know. I think it was Crispy Bomb said that, you know, he wanted to chuck his controller at the wall, and I completely I completely get that. So look, if it's not a huge mainstream game, you're absolutely certain, right? Given From Software's creative prowess, you know, you'd have to say is in definitive quarters at least of the gaming community, it's going to do really, really well, and I hope it does. I hope it does.
You know, real quick, where was it? Doom Reaper in the chat says From Software deserves a higher player base, and Game Pass will give that to them. That is a great point.
Yep.
And you know what?
Yep.
I mean, to close out the topic, and then we get everyone out of here to start your Friday, or continue your run in Forza. I think that is a brilliant point. Brilliant, Doom Reaper. Because, right, as fantastic as Sekiro was, right, commercially, it did what those types of games do, right? It didn't sell 20 million copies. But I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that it behooves Microsoft to potentially come to From Software and say, how much do we need to pay you to get this game in Game Pass day and date? And I'm going to tell you why. Not because of Boom is looking to save money. I'm already buying the collector's edition. They got me. They got my bag, right? But to Doom Reaper's point, this is a game that could potentially find a new audience with Game Pass. How many games did you play? And this is, again, this could be a whole freaking topic. How many games has anybody in the chat played that you were on the fence about, that you may have never played? Psychonauts is that game for a lot of people. Oh, I don't do platformers. I did platformers when I was 8. This is not really my bag. Holy shit, this game's amazing. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Xbox Game Pass. And that is the beauty of a potential scenario to get an Elden Ring game. First of all, it's going to be big for the Souls community. It's going to be big from the From Software community. But it also could be, and it's going to be big, obviously, in the media. The media is hyping this thing up, and by all rights, they should. But with that said, though, it also could be one of those games that see a significant amount of downloads because it's an Xbox Game Pass, and you could now attract a new audience to a game that's considered niche by a lot of people, right? So, I mean, again, great point. This has been a hell of a 2 hours. We got only to 2 topics. I know I had advertised that we were going to talk about how Square Enix has literally thrown Crystal Dynamics under the bus. Those statements were damning. If you are a part of the dev team that made Avengers, or a part of the team, well, I just hit another tree. This is awful. It is disheartening. But the conversation, I'm going to take it in a different way. I'm going to take it to a different location. I'm going to forward this conversation. I've already reached out to my brothers, and Kay, just check the DM. You see where I'm taking this. It's pretty interesting for sure. But listen, thank you so much for being here. Of course, I want to thank everybody that tuned in and dropped the super chat. Those super chats obviously are used to power the giveaways. We just did a monster giveaway for Mrs. Boomstick's birthday bash last Monday. We gave away $300 worth of gift cards. That is the third time this year that we've done that, plus a bunch of other giveaways. And our Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boom, I'm stacking up the prizes. A lot of physical prizes that we're going to give. We got two of the prizes that I got my hands on is the 20th anniversary Xbox controller. That's going to be one of the prizes. The Forza Horizon 5 controller. I got a second one of those. I'm trying to get my hands on an Elite, a Halo Infinite Elite. If I can get my hands on one, we'll pay the money up front, and we will be giving that away as well. It's going to be around $500. And if you are a channel member, you are going to be you're going to get a couple of extra entries. If you are someone that drops super chats, you're going to get a couple extra entries. And if you just show up to the show that day, you're going to be entered in, and we're going to let the picker pick the winners. And that's going to be a big show at the end of the year to close out 2021. Of course, I encourage people to be channel members, because when you are channel members, we can do those big giveaways. And so I want to thank everybody for that. And let's get into our guest, and then we'll get everyone out of here. We'll start first with Kay Asante. You jumped in. Thank you so much for jumping in, brother. Always love your opinion. Cannot wait to hear your opinion tomorrow. I'll be cooking breakfast and listening in the background. Tell everyone what you got going on, and where can people reach out to you on social media.
Thank you so much. Always awesome to be able to jump in here when I can. I'm in the middle of my work day, but hey, my boss doesn't know I'm doing this, so let's just keep it on the low. Anyway,
I love it.
So tonight you will actually see me. We're actually going to be. I'm going to be on Cyber's channel. We'll be doing the Game Pass Club. We're going to be playing some Halo, trying to get in there and enjoy some of that. Now tomorrow we're doing the Gaming Circle podcast. What I do with my boy Mr. Everborn Saga. We'll be doing that on my channel. If you haven't checked it out before, please TKO Asante on Twitter. And when it's going live, you'll be able to see when that is. We usually have a pretty rousing chat. We have a very interesting debate. I think we're going to have a bit of conversation about this Square Enix thing. And I hear what you're saying. We have some conspiracy theories is gonna go down tomorrow. So you guys can come and kind of enjoy our tinfoil hat conversation. It's gonna be fun. Because how are you gonna lay your people out just like that, all the while at the same time lending them off to a third party to go?
Yeah, you know what it's called? It's called perfect timing for an acquisition.
I'm not going there. I'm not going, but the tinfoils will be out tomorrow. The tinfoils will be definitely out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it on Monday's prime time. I got a lot of thoughts and theories to why specifically this now has come out.
Yep.
I think that there's a lot of reading in between the lines here. That could be
tea leaf reading. Yes.
Yeah. And again, it's interpretation, right? So it could be interpreted for me one way and maybe something for you. But tune in to his show tomorrow. Where me and
Everborn are going to get in there and he's been trying to say some things to me for a while about that, and I've always just been like, oh, come on. But now it's all seeming to come together, which I hate to admit it, but the man seems to have some points. So we're going to kind of tease that a little bit out tomorrow on the show. We appreciate everybody that's able to tune in. We always have fun with the community. People show out. The numbers have been growing exponentially. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. The Gaming Circle podcast tomorrow, probably around 10 o'clock, we'll be doing that. So if you guys can come check it out, that'd be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And of course, the group here, VJ, Crispy, Fuzzy. It's awesome. Even if I'm not able to join, I'm usually listening in to all the cool guests you have, and I really appreciate being able jump in and give you my 2 cents. So thank you guys so much.
Oh, well, thank you so much, bro. Definitely appreciate that. And as you're going to see in a second, I beat Randall Thor 19's time. I'm just throwing it out there that I beat Rand. But Fuzzy, thank you so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate you being a part of today's panel, giving us your hands-on, opinion on it. I even beat Colt Eastwood, by the way. But yeah, dude,
Is
tell
this the
everyone.
run where you beat P3?
Well, I did put that out on Twitter, but yes, I did beat Phil Spencer. Sorry, Phil, if you're listening. I'm sure that he's going to take a picture of beating me because, I'm Mr. Boomstick. Whatever. But do me a favor, Fuzzy. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media. But more importantly, what else you got going on? And more importantly, what other shows can people listen to your opinions about?
Well, I want to thank you, Boom, for inviting me on here, talking about Forza, which I always love to do. So I greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate being on here with VJ and with Crispy, as well as Asante. You guys are awesome, as well as the chat. Love the conversation that you guys are having. A lot of stuff about Forza. Take my advice. Enjoy it this weekend if you can. If you have the opportunity to get the early access, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, wait until Tuesday, and boy, you're gonna have a good time. But you can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. Every now and then, you'll see me in spaces trying not the console war, but to kind of put stuff out there as far as for Forza, correct information for Forza. You can also find me on Tidbits with Mav on the Fun Speculation channel.
That's on Mondays, right?
Right, Mondays. It's usually between either 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. We go over like the releases coming out that week, give you a little bit of feedback, show the trailer, some of the stuff that normally goes under the radar. We kind of give it a little bit of a spotlight, so that way it's like, hey, you may have heard about this game at E3 or at a show a while ago and kind of forgot about it. We try to let you know, hey, if you're not already digging through your backlog, this might be something to at least pick up. And then you can catch me on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on FSP, Fun Speculation Podcast with Mav, as well as with Just Key. And basically, it's a all-platform podcast where we talk about the games we've played, as well as anything in the news relating to whether it's Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation. And then later that night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch me on the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Pong Soul, and Centurion 1307, where we kind of just talk shop about, mainly focus on Xbox, but we also cover stuff on some of the other consoles as well. But go over all the upcoming news and exciting stuff that whether it's coming to Game Pass or just in general with Xbox Studios, is where we're I like to end out the weekend before getting on in gaming. But thank you so much. If anybody wants to race in Forza, I usually just leave my lobby open, so you can join me roaming around Mexico. This was awesome. Thanks again.
Well, thanks so much. And Crispy Bomb, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, what other shows are you appearing on?
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Shout out to the chat at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Retro Renegades Tuesday night, 7 p.m. The next podcast Thursday, 8 p.m. Of course, back here on Breakfast with Boom Friday, 10 a.m.
Yeah, well, can't wait to get your opinion on Tuesday and hear what when you get a chance to check it out on your TV, on your 4K, and you get a chance to to play a couple hours. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. So thanks, dude. Super appreciate you being here. VJ, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media and strike up a conversation. But more importantly, what other shows are you on, and where can people listen to some of the best thought process in the business?
I don't know about that. I'm just really impressed with Crispy Bomb's sort of almost military precision outro there. I need to take some tips from him. Look, just a quick word on Elden Ring. I'm glad I'm not completely off my trolley. Elden Ring for Game Pass, I think, is a big shout. It doesn't diminish the game's quality. It should be framed as
not
Xbox,
at all.
It should be framed as Xbox flexing and offering greater quality of content for Game Pass users in direct correlation, or ratio to the increase in Game Pass subscribers, quid pro quo, right? Or an ever-increasing multi-dimensional circle. So anyway, look, I'm going to leave it at that. You can find me on Midweek Gaming on Wednesdays, and on this show next week if you'll have me, Boom. And I just want to say thanks to you, the community in the chat, and obviously, of course, the illustrious panel that we have here. And I just want to say also thanks to Mr. Tucci for giving me his time and sharing his in-depth analysis on Forza 5, so I could contribute today. I did have a lot to say, actually, Rear Square Enix, but this show's been littered with so many fantastic topics. It's a shame, but anyway, we'll maybe perhaps in the future. But all in all, thanks again, Boom, for having me on, and see you all next week.
Yes, absolutely. And real quick, of course, once again, a big thank you to the 300 plus people that were here for today. We don't have this show without your support. So thank you so much for tuning in each and every week and, raising Double Barrel Gaming up. We are, we'll hit the 10K. And that, of course, that's a big thanks to you. As you see, I finally got my third gold star in this particular speed trap. And this car is ridiculously good on the road. And as you can see, should I pause the screen? Should I say that I've beaten all of the best of the best of the best? I think I should. Dealer, Randolph Thor, Godfrey from Gamertag Radio, obviously Pop Shore which is Ains from Seasoned Gaming. So yeah, I did it. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for being here. Enjoy your weekend. Give Forza Horizon 5 a shot, whether you played on Tuesday, whether you played in early access. You know what? You won't be disappointed. I see a lot of people that have never played Forza before are now interested in the game. I love seeing that. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.